Alrighty, friends, bust out them crayons and keep them fingers near the playback speed button because we finna hit this fast. In the last week, the folks in charge have had enough money, power, and armed agents at hand to fight God himself, and they had absolutely no fucking clue what to do with it. The voters rejected them, evidence outed them. The only things that didn't change were the fact that you and I had to pay for it, and when reality didn't fit their narrative, they substituted their own. We finna get into the speed run. Let's do this. Okay, first up, folks, we are heading to Michigan for a two-parter, where the Trump-endorsed Amir Hassan lost the Republican congressional primary to Thomas Smith, a man who had already quit, went home, and gave his blessing to somebody else. Smith barely even campaigned, raised virtually no money, and Trump's hand-picked candidate lost by 17 points. All it takes is Save-A-Lot Stalin's endorsement at this point to be a kiss of death for your campaign. And to swing things back across the aisle, Michigan voters weren't finished telling the establishment they could go fuck themselves yet. Progressive candidate Abdul El-Sayed defeated establishment-backed $60 million spent on her by outside forces candidate Haley Stevens, running on Medicare for All, taxing billionaires, and getting big money the fuck out of politics. You know, I think maybe this would be a good time for the establishment of the Democrats to maybe reflect on what their voters are saying if they still want to be employed in the future. And speaking of reflecting, y'all know we got to talk about that fucking pool, right? Because as it would turn out, what we all knew already, it wasn't vandalism, it was just a shitty installation job. And I'm sure driving a convoy of SUVs over top didn't help either. The DOJ has opted to drop all charges against Olympic canoeist David Hearn. Now, if only the president would quit fucking lying about it on national TV and trying to throw the DOJ under the bus for it. Grab your jackets, because shit is about to get chilly. According to the Wall Street Journal, ICE is now running round-the-clock surveillance on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Reddit, tracking anybody who happens to have criticizes them in any way about the way they conduct operations. They say they're just tracking threats, but we've heard that bullshit before. We all know anybody who's just, telling the truth about them probably has a folder now. And speaking of tracking, according to the Washington Post, Haitian immigrants in Ohio have now been rounded up when they show up for their required check-ins, arrested, and then fitted with ankle monitors. No reason to do this. ICE already knew where they lived. They were complying with everything and doing what they were supposed to. Their attorneys even said many of them either had pending asylum claims in, they didn't have final deportation orders, and had done everything they'd been asked. This is just, once again, ICE on a fucking power trip. That's your taxpayer dollars at work here, folks. And speaking of work, you might be able to afford to take a vacation from it if you weren't paying for all this fucking shit. According to a new Economic Policy Institute analysis, these deportations will cost taxpayers an estimated $268.9 billion fucking dollars before it's all said and done. An average of about $2,358 per person. Imagine what you could do with that if that money wasn't being spent to harass brown people by motherfuckers in masks. And as if all of that wasn't enough, according to an Associated Press investigation, at least 50 spouses or parents of service members have been detained and at least 6 deported. Service members have been forced to take leave, delay deployments, and scramble to find care for their children to fight for their families. Because nothing says support the troops like making them choose between serving their country or protecting their family from it. And while we're on the topic of disrespecting the military, anybody else catch that post where the shit-stain-in-chief turned himself into a 4-star general, surrounded by Patton and MacArthur, who he had given ceremonial demotions to 2-star to make himself look better? You know what? Just look at this shit. That is fucking embarrassing. Okay, my blood pressure going up, and I'm sure yours probably is too. So let's talk about something funny to kind of regulate ourselves. And this time it's in my own backyard. Because an Alabama TSA agent found 5 stolen Civil War cannonballs wrapped in paper towels inside of a grandmother's checked bag. Authorities say her grandson stole them from Fort Morgan and slipped them into her suitcase without her knowledge. And as an expert, let me just say, every single word of that statement is Alabama, y'all.